Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Adams Brothers Podcast. Happy hump day to each and every last one of you out there in Facebook and YouTube land. Thank you for joining us here. This evening, we are joined here with the candidate for mayor of the beautiful city of Deerfield Beach. Some of you may know him, some of you may not. His name is Mr. Timothy Chaz Stevens, and he's running for mayor here in Deerfield Beach. So, Mr. Stevens, welcome to the Adams Brothers Podcast.
Excellent. I'm happy to be here, gents. Happy to be here. I like your theme song. I need to get one myself. So welcome. Oh, thanks for inviting me aboard. And I am running for mayor of Deerfield Beach. I've lived here a long time. I moved here in, my parents, if you will, 1979, 78 or 79. Graduated the Deerfield Beach High School. It was long ago, it was like a little 3-room house. So graduated Deerfield Beach High School. I've seen lots of things come and go. I look forward to talking to you all to learn about what's going on your side of the equation, talk about my side of the equation, and see if we could find some synergy. And I got a whole bunch of ideas. Vote chazstevens.com/donate if you got an extra $5 in your pocket. I appreciate that. I have very little financing, and I'm not beholden to anybody. So I appreciate your $5.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Yes.
And thank you for being on our podcast. So, for the people out there that's watching in YouTube land and Facebook land that don't know you, just kind of introduce yourself and tell them all about Chaz Stevens. I know you told us about, that you grew up, you went to Deerfield Beach High School.
Class of 1982, correct?
Thanks for making me feel old. Yes, sir.
Class.
Thank you.
Our late sister was the class of 82.
Yeah.
Deerfield. Yeah.
Sorry about your loss, sir. It used to be when you were young, you'd scroll down on the thing, you're like, oh, the 1964, that's not too far down. Now you keep on going and going and going and going. It's like Wheel of Fortune. And they're like, holy gosh, I'm old. So I graduated from Deerfield Beach High School a million years ago, many mango seasons, as my friend would say. I went out then, and I'm a product of the Florida educational system. I grew up on a farm. I grew up riding horses and milking cows and dealing with nasty chickens. You ever deal with chickens? They are horrible animals.
We have them in our neighborhood over here right now, all over. So, yeah.
I was down in Miami today at the federal courthouse. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And there's it's in the Overtown area, which is they've really changed that up a lot since last time I was down there. And there was a Chick-fil-A, and there's chickens outside the Chick-fil-A. I didn't know if they really understood the whole kind of funniness. Anyway, I graduated from Deerfield Beach High School. I went to study at Florida Tech. I got my degree in mathematics, so I'm good with the numbers. And then I went on to work. I went on to Georgia Tech, where I got my master's degree. And that is in computer science, so I'm good with computers. And then along the way, I traveled the world. I worked for great companies. I worked for IBM. I worked for let me just run down the list. IBM, Coca-Cola, Bell South, Disney, Sprint, NASA, GTE, Blockbuster. You know Blockbuster here within town? Do you know where the hill and the DoubleTree is?
Yes.
Right up past what's his face? The guy with the hair, the boxing guy, Don King. Right past Don King. Yeah. Yeah, that's where we built Blockbuster.com in 1996. That's where Blockbuster.com from. And they had a Blockbuster store in there. You'd walk in there and it looked like a regular Blockbuster store with all the shelves and all the videos and stuff like that. They had candy. So if you're looking for a candy, you try to borrow one and not get away with it. So there it is. And I've traveled the world. I'm an activist. If you do a little Google of Google Chaz Stevens, there's a zillion articles about me. Thousands and thousands of articles. You're going to find something. I'm sorry, there's my security. If you heard that, that's my security. There's probably a cat walking out front. There's thousands of articles. You're going to find something you don't like. There's something about me. You don't have to look very far, and you're going to pull, well, all three of us are a little bald, but you're going to pull your hair out. But don't let that dissuade you from what we're going to talk about tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I got some good ideas.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I heard you mention that you have a degree in mathematics. So obviously you are very good with numbers if you have a degree in mathematics. And if you're going to be dealing with a budget here in Deerfield Beach, you're going to be dealing with millions of dollars. I believe it's a $360 million budget, if I'm not mistaken. It's somewhere in that
375.
375.
But
you're going to be dealing with a lot of money.
I called Bernie up on the phone. Hello, Bernie. By the way, 8 years ago, Bernie offered me $100 to file an ethics campaign against Carol Berner. I told him, "Oh, no swearing." Wayne said, "No swearing." I almost swore, Wayne. See, I'm working on it, bro. I'm working on it. And I'm like, $100? Isn't that against the law? $100. Anyway, Bernie says it's only 328. And I went, huh? Judy Wilson reports 375. It doesn't freaking matter. You know why, guys? It was $200 million 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. We spend more money today on BSO than we spent in our entire budget 6 years ago. But if you talk to our vice mayor wants to be the mayor, he says, but we hold it at 60%. Yeah, but listen, I'm going to go really simple math here. 60% of $1 is not the same thing as 60% of $10. So if you're doubling the budget and you're still holding your number at 60%, aren't you spending more money? Aren't you spending more money? Do you guys feel safer? We have coyotes in my neighborhood now. We have lights out in my neighborhood.
Yeah, we have them over here too. I've seen them out when I've been walking in the morning.
We've been advocating.
Oh yeah. I saw one morning. He wasn't far from me. He stopped. He looked at me, and I did like people would say, stand up taller, and he just took off running away. Yeah.
I'm bringing barbecue sauce and just say, listen, I'm a chicken wing. I'm a chicken wing. You guys, don't need that. Holy cow. So anyway, yes, I heard the coyote. I didn't see one. So anyway, $375 million, guys. 375. And there's no money back in your pocket. The money goes to the coffers because of property taxes, because of inflation. So property values go up, taxes go up, and there's rollback there. And they say, and here's what they do, Wayne, ready? But we haven't raised your millage rate. We've kept the millage rate same. Okay, two problems with that. Number one, if it's 6 mils on $1 or 6 mils on $10, aren't you making more money on the $10? So as property values go up, our money in our coffers increases. There's a thing called rollback rate allowed by the state. If you make more money this year because of the tax roll, you can roll it back and say we're gonna roll it back to what we paid last year, and you can give the money back to the people. I'm guessing in your areas, sir, District 2, right? District 2.
Yes.
Those are some of our most fragile residents. They are some of the most fragile residents. There's probably a whole bunch of people that go to bed hungry. And there's probably even more, particularly just to me, and this is my own thing, kids that go to bed hungry. That drives me freaking nuts. But yet, no money coming back. Or Bernie, we're only at 328.
And I heard you mention about BSO, and BSO has been in charge of keeping us safe for well over 25 years. 30 years.
Over 30.
If you're elected mayor, would you look into going back to the old Deerfield Beach Police Department,
or do you think that's the answer too? Because 60% of our budget is spent on public safety.
Okay, so I don't have the number in front of me, but I'm going to disagree with you, Wayne, politely, gently. Joe Miller and the Joe Miller regime, the admin back with Joe Miller. Do you know Joe Miller? He's a really nice guy.
Pest control guy.
Yeah, exactly right. He's my pest control guy. And he has a fellow by the name, I don't want to drop names, but he has a fellow working for him that's been doing my lawn for years. And it's just amazing, just the nicest fellows. But he wasn't a good commissioner. Sorry, Joe, if you're watching, but he wasn't good. And he voted to approve the transition from those old white cars. Remember the white cars we have with the blue logo on the side of it?
Yes.
Yeah. I got a speeding ticket from those guys once. So he moved over to the BSO, and I followed along with it. My father, Jim Stevens, who passed 2 years ago, Pop was on the policeman's pension plan. Pop was really good at that stuff. He would kill you with his talking about it. You're like, come on, Dad. He said to me, pay attention to this. So Miller voted to move us over from Deerfield Beach to that, okay? And the point was, we're never going to spend more than 50%. But here's the thing, fellas. Wayne, don't get caught up with the 60% is relative.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up with relative, right? So so it's, what are we spending? Because they'll say, well, we're not going over 60%. We've been at 60% for 10 years now. Come on, guys. But what's the number? We're spending more money this year on BSO fire than we 5 years ago. Drives you nuts.
Yeah. And actually I remember we hired now city manager Brimlow, I believe for public safety. And I think at the time he was supposed to look at the contracts with BSO, I guess to see if we were getting what we were paying for. I mean, I don't know how did that come out, but I mean, we hear all the time 60% is spent on public safety. I mean, I'm like you. I'm in the middle. I don't know if it's really worth all of that, or is that well spent? I don't know. I would like for a better look at that 60% to see, is it really being spent efficiently? That's just my take on it. But I know our budget in public safety keeps skyrocketing every year, and I know the pension cost is rising for the firemen.
Yeah. So
your dad was on the fireman's pension, correct? He was.
Yeah.
Pension, right?
And he pulled his hair. Well, he didn't have. He pulled his hair out, right? So it's the unfunded pension plan, fellas, that you got to worry about. So y'all have been here a long time. You're going to remember this, Wayne and Daryl, which was, how did you win in the Cappellini regime, Peggy Nolan? And I like Peggy Nolan. How did you win during those times? You got the support of the 100-person army of the firemen, right? You got the firemen. And I got firemen that live around me. I think the world of these people. I do. But if you got the boots on the ground, now you got door knockers, now you got the door hangers. Now you have people with the boots out there. Remember the Hillsborough and Federal? I remember that. They're out there with the big.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, good. But what do we do for that? We said, we'll give you everything. We'll give you the double drop. We'll give you the double drop. So these guys and girls, when they're about retiring, they go sit in the call center at 911 and they work 60 to 70 hours extra at the 911 call center at their time and a half. And that was what we're paying them on. Driving me nuts. It comes down to this, though. Do you really want to live in a dangerous neighborhood? Nobody wants that. No. We want our trash picked up. We want to be safe. We want to walk our neighborhoods, and we want to protect our kids, right? That's the government that touches us. Forget the sign over here. I taped that up for you. I got rid of the swear words. So
you in your house, you could have left it. You could have left it like it was.
I know that. But listen, I'm trying to listen. As people don't know, Wayne and I was off to a rocky start with Wayne. It was me. I'm trying to like this. So no, who wants to see a little boy or little girl hurt? Nobody. Who wants to see him go to bed hungry? Nobody. I don't care what color you are. If you're fragile, count me in. You want to read a book? Count me in. So these are things that are really genuinely important to me. So I don't want to cut this thing. One of my opponents, the fella that doesn't live here, his name is Dan. He hurts you. Dan, who, by the way, I sat in the Sun Sentinel informational, what is it? The questionnaire, the whatever the heck it was, the mayoral thing. Two guys in their JCPenney suits and Chaz Stevens in his t-shirt. So I listened to one fellow when asked the question, have you ever gone to court? And he dithered for 5 minutes. Answer the damn question, buddy. You did. Whether or not you're the plaintiff, we got the court records. Hello. So, and then they say, do you live here? My friend Ann Gegas, remember she covered the city for Sun Sentinel?
Yes.
She wrote about it in 2018. She said he doesn't live here. He doesn't live here. His wife has a homestead down in Plantation. And supposedly he said, The city clerk verified me. Hello? I went through the same thing too. You know what the verification is, Wayne? Here's my driver's license. So he doesn't live here. Todd Drosky. Wayne, can I ask you a question? Daryl, let me ask you this question. Ready?
Go ahead.
Here, I'm interviewing now you, sir. I don't have theme music. I can hum. I can belch the alphabet. So listen, here's the theme song. Ready? Here's the question. What's our vision?
What's our vision for
Yes.
Deerfield? I think that's a question that a lot of people would like to know.
Exactly.
What's our vision for Deerfield? And a lot of people say we don't have an identity here in Deerfield. We need to have our own identity. So if you're asking me what, our vision here in Deerfield Beach,
the jury's still out on that. I think.
Have you been to Pompano recently down on Atlantic?
Oh, it's lovely down there.
Delray,
Pompano, it's lovely.
Holy Christ. Have you been to Atlantic, the other Atlantic in Delray? 15 years ago, you took your life in your hands getting off of 95, right?
Yes, you did.
Oh God, I can overswing just quick enough because,
Yeah.
Now look at it. Well, it got a little too much for me, but what do we have here? We have a Pilar, the great coffee. Have you guys been to the new coffee shop over at the Cove? If you guys drink coffee, dude, run, really good. But what's our vision? Do you know about the Urban Land Institute?
Yes, we attended a few meetings. Yes.
Okay, I do IT work, so I have some experience with this stuff. Not as in doing the IT for writing websites for clients that are involved with this. It's really live local, this LIHTC stuff, low income housing tax credit stuff. It's rocket science. Remember, I used to work for NASA. This is rocket science stuff. When we talked about what's important, it was trash, police, walkability, and kids. And I'm going to put, and that's not, trash is not in the first order. Don't get that all, kids obviously up, right? Also, housing affordability. Right? What they call, and here's the thing, Wayne. So people will see affordable housing and they think Section 8, the criminals are coming to town. Some skeevy fellow is going to put his broken dishwasher out in the front lawn, everything else. It's not. It's housing affordability based upon what's called AMI, average median income. So you've heard the thing about Axios?
Yes.
Over there on that. So
that's on Federal and near the old Roadhouse.
Exactly right. Yeah. Remember the old Roadhouse was the bar that had that alligator that with the laser coming out of things, and the people behind. That's really, you set me up really good, bro. I'm trying to point to you. I don't know where there's. So it was the old bar that was in there with the alligator that dropped down, the beat music, and you're like, oh, that's a cool alligator. And the people behind there went, oh, this is going to kill our property values. The neighbors are going to go to shite and blah blah blah. Okay. Todd Drosky in the meeting said this. I said to him two things. I am facing in October, what's that, 10 months from now, 9 months from now?
Yeah.
$15,000 tax bill. $15,000. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money if you're retired, coming out of your income.
Yeah. So I said, that is just crazy. Mr. Drosky, 8 years, lack of vision. I think the guy needs one of those walking canes because he has a stunning lack of vision. I hope the city offers great vision care because he's blind. He says, they asked him a question. So, Mr. Drosky, what do you think about over District 4? What are your residents saying about the cost of living? Oh, I don't hear any bad things about that. And I blurt out, I'm sorry, Wayne, I'll beat myself. Holy SH, this guy's an effing idiot. So you can go watch my interview and you're going,
I watched it. Too.
Did you see me swear? Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, Daryl, I went, oh yeah.
I watched half of it. I didn't get to watch all of it. And I heard you say that your taxes was like 14.7. And when you saw that, that's what, made you want to run for mayor.
Yeah, exactly right. $14,700.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
I'll meet that. Listen, that's a chunk of money. I'll meet that. Right? But there are other people who who have problems. Everybody has problems. I have a lot of problems. You guys have a lot of problems, but there are people who have bigger problems than me. And Drosky says, when they ask him about, and I flamed the Sun Sentinel, they ask him, so what do you think about the March election? And you know, Wayne, you've heard this old chestnut time and time again. It's meaningless. Do you know why they don't want a November election?
That's a good question. Why is that, Mr. Steven?
Okay, first of all,
more voters will come out. I mean,
more voters will come out.
We know that.
Oh, you're getting somewhere. Keep on, guys. Come on, boys. Come on.
More voters will definitely come out.
Oh yeah, and then you get less people come out. You don't need that many votes to, be the mayor and or the commissioner, and there's also a cost to it for the taxpayers as well.
$200,000. 300,000. Okay, but you're close. You're close. Do you want to keep on going one last time? Ready? Speed round. I got a bell over here. Here's the thing. In November, it becomes a partisan race. We are MPA. You can probably figure out what party I'm registered to vote with. It doesn't take a great kind of thing. What party I'm registered to vote with. And if we vote in November, then it becomes who's got the turnout. Oh, this is a red wave. This is a blue wave. This is a purple wave. Okay. Here's what Drosky said. Did you see this, Daryl? Did you watch it? He said this. He goes, oh, what's your problem with that? Oh, we'd be on page 4 of the ballot, and the voters just don't have the wherewithal to get to page 4. They would skip out. So they would get off their tush to go vote in person, take time off from work to go vote, but they're going to get to page 3 and say, I'm tired. I need to go have a snickerdoodle. So I asked them, do you think your on one hand, you tell me, Wayne, on one hand, Todd, you tell me your voters are really sharp and they know the whole thing. They're dialed in, but they're too stupid to complete a 4-page ballot. They're at the election, less than 10% vote. These are people who care. They turned out, they care. I'll bet you they're gonna complete a 10-page ballot. They're not going to say, I'm tapping out. Play the music, take me off, whatever it is.
All right.
He thinks people are stupid. He's going to win, boys. You know this. He's going to win. He's got Judy Stern running his thing. He's got deep pockets, so he's going to get his message out. He's in the sign wars with doesn't live here, hurts, right? He's got, if you listen to him, he knows all the, this and that, this case, blah, 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 blah. He's really smooth. Chaz Stevens, well, he just came up on October. What the heck does he know? Okay, Wayne asked me this question.
Mm-hmm.
How many commission meetings have I been to in the last 5 years? Ask me that question, genuinely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, ask me.
How many meetings have you been to in the last 5 years?
Wasn't a trick question. 0. Yeah. Absolutely none. But guess what?
You can watch it online. You don't have to go.
Right.
Even better. I'm in the IT business, and I make money with AI. This artificial intelligence, these large models, Chat GPT, blah blah blah. Right. I have my own little AI running here, sort of over here. In fact, I took 8 years of commission meetings, CR meetings, the minutes, and I stuffed them in the box, and then I trained it on all of that data. And then I ask it questions. So I don't have to sit in the meeting. I can ask it, what do the people in Century Village worry about? And it's getting to Publix. They can't get to Publix. Over here in District 1, and there's some nice houses here.
It is.
Yeah. It's really turned away. It's turned on. I mean, with everything moved up from Lighthouse Point. Do you guys remember the penny for transportation tax?
Yes, I remember that.
I don't.
I remember that.
What do you remember, Wayne? What do you remember? Why take a sip of
not my sponsor. I just remember if I'm correct, because I remember the bad tax that they had through the county. I remember.
I remember that.
And I just remember that penny for tax transportation. And I just remember it, but I don't remember the details, Mr. Stevens, of what it entailed. It was supposed to do. I don't know if we were gonna more buses or something. I really don't remember the actual details of it. Maybe you can tell us.
Yeah, exactly right. So people that don't know, a handful of years ago, we voted probably in, I am thinking November, for a countywide penny sales tax. So there's a penny that goes every time you go buy a Reese's for $2, you're chipping in 2 pennies to the county. 50% of that money that we've earned is building a tunnel from the airport to the port. Those people are never going to spend a penny. They're not going to get an Uber. They're not going to go to the local hotel. They're not going to go to the local bar. They're not going to Publix. They're not going to Fresh Market. They're going to fly in, drop down on the train, zip over to the port, and go everything up. But that's not the issue, because that's the county spending the county money. We just should be mad that we got sold that bag of goods. I'm paying the 2 pennies on my Reese's so that Susie and Jim coming in from Wichita can go over to Cozumel. Here's how we spend it in Deerfield Beach. And this should outrage you. The folks in Century Village have a problem getting around. It's legitimate. Time and time again, Bernie Parnas said it to them, right? Tell her, you fix a broken clock enough times, eventually it'll stick at 12:01 a.m. So there's Bernie for you. If you go up 15th Avenue, I live basically Lighthouse Point, Deerfield border, sort of near the Intercoastal, not on the Intercoastal, but sort of near the Intercoastal. A little quiet neighborhood. If you go up 15th, which is the road that goes up to the Cove from 10th Street, you go over some bridges. There's 2 of them. One I call Scooter Bridge for my dog, because my dog died by around there. So you go over Scooter's Bridge, you go over the house. They raised those bridges. They took about a year or year and a half, and they raised the bridges. One bridge a little bit, one bridge a lot of bit. Why did they do that? So you can stuff a bigger boat in there. Taller boats means deeper water. Deeper water means better dockage behind your house. Better dockage, better house, more tax, more property value, more to the tax roll. So we took our penny tax and we didn't address congestion. We didn't address public transportation. We didn't address safety. We built some damn bridges that benefit a really select number. How many houses are there that are going to benefit from that? 100 houses, 200 houses, whatever it is. How many people live in Century Village? Let's just make this a Century Village issue. How many people are there? So this is the lack of accountability. We have money, but we build damn bridges. And it's annoying to me. Oh, I just turned the disco lights on. You guys can't see. There's Christmas lights in the back. So
that was going to lead me to one of my questions. That was actually going to be one of my questions. What are your thoughts on the level of spending in Deerfield Beach? Was it too much, or we should be spending less? So that was going to lead. That was actually one of my questions. So I think you kind of pretty much answered it. About the spending the money on the bridges. I guess that's in your opinion may not be responsible spending.
Yeah, and I had a question too. I had an add-on question to that.
Which one do you want? Do you want me? We going for Daryl first?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so the answer is, I'm an engineer. I built something a long time ago that still floats out in outer space, orbits the sun. It's called SOHO. I'm really good at engineering projects. I am extraordinarily good at thinking big picture. Okay. So I'm really good at this. I'm good at fixing stuff, but I'm good at big pictures. We've had under the Gans regime, and then before it, Gene Robb, you remember Rob and I didn't necessarily see eye to eye. It was about fixing stuff. We're going to go fix stuff. We're going to fix stuff over here. We're going to fix stuff over here. We're going to fix stuff over here. But there's no congealed plan. We fix stuff reactively, not proactively. Oh crap, we're going to do this and that. So my opponent wants to fuss over $200,000 beach stands, but like lifeguard stands. Yeah, okay, that's a little ridiculous, but they got to stand up in hurricanes. But that's not the problem if you have a $375 million budget. Why are you fussing over $200,000 lifeguard things? $200,000 is a lot of money to me. Give that to me. You know, you and I have a great party. But $375 million, that's less than, you know, 0.1%. The bridges, important, but trivial comparatively to a $375 million budget. It just shows lack of vision. Mr. Hertz wants a 10% property tax cut. He's on good drugs. That's all I can say. Whether they're legal or not legal, I don't know, but he's on good drugs. That's not going to happen. He also wants to fire Marty Keir. Knock on the wood.
He was on our podcast here.
Yeah, exactly right.
A little while ago. Yeah, last year.
Can I say this about him? And this affects residents in your neighborhood. And the residents, listen, obviously we're not of the same skin color. That bothers me not. When they were all going down back in the day, Wayne, they didn't pick on me saying Chaz Stevens is a racist because I went off Pam Davis. You know why? Because I was dating a girl from the islands. She had beautiful skin. She was a girl from the islands. So, you know, I'm a whatever the deal is.
You were also a member of the NAACP too, weren't you?
Yes. This stuff. Listen, I was twice nominated to the Deerfield Beach Housing Authority. Who are the clients for the housing authority? Right? This stuff matters to me. Dan Hertz wants to remove fluoride from our drinking water. Now, why does that matter to you fellas? It's because fluoride is a great naturally occurring chemical that we've been doing for 70 years to combat a nice smile, right? But if we remove it from the water, we start to have teeth decay. And who does that impact? Young little black boys and young little black girls and young little brown girls and boys, right? Those folks that can't afford to go to the dentist, they're trying to make ends meet, let alone going to get my kids' teeth cleaned or food for the week. Back to the point. $375 million. Hertz wants to cut 10%. Not good. I suggest this. Chaz 333. Easy to remember. Fits on a bumper sticker. Good lottery numbers. If you guys, I don't play the lottery, but if you pick three. Also, I'm a mathematician. So 333 is not a prime number. So unfortunately, but listen, here's the deal. It's 2%. We take our budget. We temporarily peel off public safety. Shove that aside. We're not going to touch that. We're going to address that, but we're not going to touch that. We take everything else. Year number one, 2% off the top, but not just 2%. You got to. Anybody can say, Hertz says I want 10%, but he says just 10% because he pulled the number out of somewhere. 2%. What they do is, and I apologize, it's been a long day. Zero cost budgeting, $0 budgeting. You get nothing. Wayne, you're back in charge of public works. Okay. You're the director. You're back in public works again. You have to prove you need every dollar. I'm not giving you that $100 anymore. You got to tell me what you're spending the $100 on, line item by line item. They did that in Phoenix, Arizona, a much bigger town, and they saved $100 million over 5 years. Our city manager, Rob Brimlow, $250,000, zero experience. You know what? The mayor of San Jose, California. So Deerfield Beach, Wayne, 16.1 square miles, 85,000 people-ish, come and go. San Jose, California. Yep. San Jose, California, 187 square miles, $5.3 billion budget. So I asked the Sun Sentinel, and they tried to push back, saying, Daryl, I'm thinking you listened to this, that they pushed back and they said, you're cherry picking. You're picking apples and oranges. And then the Sun Sentinel had the, oops, I almost sweared. I was close. I hope we're on tape. That had the audacity, I'm trying hard, bro. That had the audacity to say, well, Chaz, if you look at Beverly Hills, the Beverly Hills city commissioner or city manager makes $600,000 a year, $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We're not talking about Beverly Hills, though.
no. All right. So I started ESA Doggy. You can see right over there. So the dog over there. I 10 years ago, I suffer from an emotional support problem called a mental health issue called autism spectrum disorder on the spectrum. So I'm out knocking on doors. I have problems with social anxiety. I have problems with my brain. I'm not normative. My brain, I don't solve things straight line. I started ESA Doggy. We provide remote animal assisted mental health care to folks. I give away out of my own pocket, pro bono services to wounded veterans, to the homeless, to folks in Ukraine. I give away that because I see the value. It makes me feel really good, guys, to take a ding out of the world, right? Wayne, you said something about taking care of your kids, everything else. That resonated with me, guy. That's why I did the housing authority. Pam Davis, she wasn't good. Her husband, even less good. So 333, 2% off the first year, 1% off the second year, 1% off the third year. That gets us the 3%, excuse me, that gets us the 4%, which is higher than the COLA. So now I'm giving you money back. I'm not just pulling a number out of my out, 10%, and there it is. There it is. So that's my thing. And then BSO, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm on a rant here. I apologize. The BSO, we take a hard look at it. We're not the only ones struggling with this monstrosity. When Joe Miller said, we're going to go with BSO because it's going to save us money, wrong, ding, 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 it's not. And I just asked him that. Just recently talked to him. And he goes, well, blah, 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 blah. And he said, the numbers, everything else. And he voted for Dan Hertz, by the way. And I said, it's 60%. It's more money this year than we spent in 2016.
Yeah. I remember it was 2 cities that went with BSO. And then they ended up going back to their own local municipal police department, which was Lauderhill.
Yep.
And I believe the other one was West Park.
Yep.
They both went with BSO, and now I think West Park has their own municipal police department, and I think Lauderhill obviously has their own. So that's why I asked you that question. Will you be in, may take a hard look at maybe going back to look at the numbers and consider, or maybe look at going back to your own police department.
And I have a question too.
One quick little thing here. Just I apologize. So if you guys see the BSO fire engines, and listen, those guys took really great care of my mom and dad. I have 2 right behind me. They're the great neighbors and everything else. I have no animosity to that. I just got to write the check. So if you see the fire trucks and the paramedics and everything driving around, do you see on the beautiful trucks, it says ISO 1? Have you seen that before?
Yes.
Do you know what that means?
No.
Okay, International Standards Organization, ISO 1. So it's a level, it's a metric of response times and a whole bunch of stuff. Remember Chad Brancato?
Yes, he was the chief. Chad was the chief. Yeah, I remember.
Chad Brancato had his PhD. He was a really nice guy, really sharp. Chad said, we want to move from ISO 2 to ISO 1. Why? Well, how does that help me, Chad? Well, it lowers the insurance for businesses. Okay. What is our tax roll for businesses now? It was 16% about 4 years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's 8% now. Businesses are moving out of Deerfield Beach. So we've got an ISO 1, but we don't have the businesses. So it's the whole, if you drive a Lexus, ultimately you want to drive a Mercedes-Benz. If you drive a Mercedes-Benz, you want to drop into the Maserati. Meanwhile, somebody's driving the broken Cadillac with no air conditioning. So this is the lack. One final thing, and Wayne, I'd apologize. And nobody shows up at meetings. Nobody deep dives into this. Nobody really cares. They watch the Twitters. They watch the social medias. They get the thing out. We're not raising your taxes. We're not raising your BSO. We're at 60%. They don't understand underneath it. They don't look below the numbers. And so, Wayne, I'm sorry for talking your ear off. Go ahead, please.
No, I
I'll
just
throw my microphone
had a
off.
question. I got two quick questions. If elected, what 3 steps would you take to put the city on a better financial standing? What 3 steps would you take if elected to put the city on a better financial standing?
Can I stand up for a second and run and get something?
Of course. You do what you want.
If you're just joining us, we're talking to Timothy Chaz Stevens. He's a candidate for mayor here in the city of Deerfield Beach. And we thank Chaz for joining us on our podcast while he's stepped away to go grab something. Here he is back here now.
So these are the official door hangers. They're getting hung up over at Century Village. And I got a zillion of them. I'll probably have some extra ones. If you guys, you need some kindling for a fire, cook out in the summertime. I'm not sure if they're that. So what 3 things would I do for this?
Yes, to put the city, if elected, what 3 things would you do as mayor to put the city on a better financial footing?
Okay, excellent.
Standing.
Okay, so number 1, my job is to lead. I'm one vote, but I'm a big vote, not just a big guy, but I'm a big vote with ideas. And you go to votechazstevens.com, there's lots of good stuff there. Okay. Yeah, write that down, vote Chaz Stevens, and /donate if you got that extra $5 you want to send me a scratchy. So my first job is to come as elected, take over Bill Gantz's seat, get the gavel, and my first order of business is to temporarily put the city manager's role on hold. Now you're going to say that might cost money. Chaz, you're trying to save us money. Why are you
want to reduce his salary? I heard you want to reduce his salary down to $175K.
I find it ridiculous that you can't find a talented person with experience for $175,000 plus bonus, plus everything else, and a car and everything else we give. Our people that don't know, the headhunter found 4, 5, 6 people. None of them had any city manager experience. You know what I do? Step number 2, Wayne, fire the headhunter. You're gone. Get the hell out of here. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't say that. Get the heck out of here.
You can say hell. Go on.
Almost made an hour. So listen, city manager, we got a lame duck folks with there's a combination of 24 years of experience between Gantz and the other fellow telling us, here's our new city manager that we're going to be burdened with for 5, 6, 7 years. First, we started with, what was his name again? What was that? I can't think of his name.
Larry Deitcher?
No. Who's just the guy? He just left.
David Santucci.
Yeah, Dave from accounting. We had Dave from accounting. Now we have Rod from the gun club. These are the people that, did you ever see that? Go out and look at the people of California with their experience. You're going, do they have a better gene pool out here? What's going on with this? Why do we, listen, disclaimer, I like Burgess Hanser. At one point, we were good friends. We didn't have a parting ways. He just moved away. People move on. They move through their life, everything else. But Burgess wanted to do things right. But Burgess was brought up from IT, right? How we have these, we're going to go search around the world for the next best thing. And it's always dudes, white dudes, and no girls, no people of color, always white dudes that we just kind of motivated up, and we can't find somebody outside of our area code. So first thing, sorry, Rod, you're going back to the gun club or whatever the heck you did, and polish your badge or whatever. We're gonna start this with legitimate questions, which is, what the hell is your what the heck is your vision? How have you managed this? How have you brought a city? We're falling behind. So that number two is this cost savings, which is Prove that prove the money you want to spend. You know what I'm saying? Prove that. And number 3, you're going to like this. So everybody that might not know this, in 2014, Wayne, in the city of Deerfield Beach, I was a big voice, was I not?
Yeah, you were.
Yeah,
you were.
And I as my nanny said, I busted head and cracked nuts. So, and Kessler, remember Kessler? You got to remember Kessler.
Yes, that was the auditor, if I'm
yes,
exact,
exactly.
right?
Mike Kessler. Yeah. He came to town, and he found corruption. Remember the Mango Festival? Terry Scott saying, "Oh, nobody's showing up at the Mango Festival," and there's pictures of the Mango Festival. People line the street. Humanity, as far as you can see, and Terry Scott. Oh, there was only 1,000 people bought tickets. So there was all this stuff that was going on. Kessler found corruption. I had a front seat table at that. I was there, a front seat table. Kessler named it. There was the Chaz Award. Do you know that he was given the Chaz Award years after that? Yeah.
Yep,
so the Chaz
I remember
Award.
that.
Yeah. So I am willing to bet if we move some rocks around, we're going to find some stuff. Mm-hmm. So I don't want a forensic audit because forensic audits have a bad medicine attached to them. But I want a deep dive into how we spent the money. How is it that we have $375 million or $360 million or $328 million, whatever that number is, $300+ million, and we're in a sea of bonds? Wayne, you said you had grandkids. We're using your grandkids' credit card right now. How is it that I can double my budget, but I still have bonds? And I'm going, we're looking to float more bonds. How is that possible? Second question.
Mm-hmm.
Second.
The second one is, I hear a lot saying that the city employees at the top are overpaid. Do you believe that? And if elected mayor, would you cut their salaries of the administrative level employees?
Okay, so I think you got to be careful there. So we're going to have folks that are unionized, and brother, I'm all about the union. I'm all about the union, right? So we're going to separate those people. I don't know if we can, negotiate. And again, we're going to have Rob from the gun club doing the negotiation, perhaps, or something else. Who knows? But let's talk about those. What are they? The non-salaried folks, the folks at the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have been in the IT world for a very long time, and I remember when a new place, a new management came in, if you will, you had to prove what you did. So the same thing with the budget, you have to prove what you do. I can't make a comment saying Susie in IT, she's making $185,000. Is that is real or not? What people will say is that's what we pay around here. Hogwash. I bring you back to, what do they pay out in California? You ever been to California, boys? It's really expensive. Yeah. It's really expensive.
Really
expensive.
Yeah,
let's move out there. Yeah. If you need a pool boy, I'll be your pool boy.
I couldn't afford to live out there.
No. So when you talk about salaries, there's humans at the end of that paycheck. Mm-hmm. And then there's humans at the end of that paycheck, and there's feelings and there's concern. Holy gosh, Mayor Chaz is going to fire me. And how am my kid's going to start college next year? What am I going to do? We have to approach this thing like development smartly. You can't just take an axe to it, if you will, and start hacking away. Outside of the city manager, he just started. I'm sorry, but I'm on record saying I think that was a bad idea, and I would change that up. But let's say you're going to, Wayne, let's say that you get rid of You lower the salary of 5 people, and they made $100,000. They make more than 100,000. We'll just make this simple though. 5 people, they made 100,000. Now they make 50,000. They're probably not going to stay, but say they stay. You just saved $250,000. So you just built yourself a new lifeguard stand. That doesn't solve the problem. That doesn't solve the problem. $250,000 out of $300+ million budget is not going to do that. That's not going to put food in a little belly over in District 2. That's not going to get somebody from District 3 to Publix and transportation. We just need a vision, right? And you fellas haven't talked about the beach yet, and the MPO plan. What's the thing for that? Right? There's a YFIA loan. Go to votechazstevens.com. Stormwater. If you look at Lauderdale, what they talked about Lauderdale, they talked about homeless being a problem, affordable housing, and flooding.
That was one of my questions about the homeless, because I know you have been a homeless advocate in the past. I wanted to get your take on that, actually, when you delved into it just now about since the new state laws from the state about the municipalities having to remove the homeless. What plan, if elected mayor, would you institute to help to curb homelessness here in the city of Deerfield Beach?
So that's an excellent question. Rudy Giuliani, whom I didn't like before, definitely don't like him now. He had this management technique of broken windows. Do you know about this? So this was his management style, which was if you push everybody out of Manhattan and you clean up, the broken windows thing says, if you fix a little broken window, the big broken windows don't happen. So pay attention to the little broken windows, and you're going to keep eventually the big windows will stay intact. So if you push stuff out of Manhattan to the boroughs, to the edges, it hides it, because all the cameras and they're at the Rockefeller Center, if you will. So being homeless sucks. Where do you go? Where do you go? How do you put food in your belly? What about that? My brother was a millionaire, and because of alcoholism. By the way, one time, fellas, I was an alcoholic. 20 years sober. My
Congratulations.
Yeah, but also don't congratulate me for being a normal person. But I have autism, and I used alcohol and drugs to tamp down my brain because it was just right. But my brother wasn't able to overcome his demons, and he was homeless. So $1,000 at the Daily Bread food bag buys a lot of food. There has to be ways that we can use city resources to address this issue. What those resources are, I don't know. But I would ask, we're not the only people that are struggling with this problem. We are not the only people who care about fragile residents, right? We're not the only people that do this. What are they doing elsewhere? Look around. What are they doing elsewhere? What's working? What's tried? What's failed? Mr. Drosky goes to the League of Florida Cities, or whatever the heck it is. He's the president, so we pay for that. And he comes home with his his selfie. I'm the president. Fix his tie. He should be bringing home these ideas, but he's not. I don't know how much we can fix it, Wayne. But one other thing. It's important to me. It's important to me. Ethics are important to me. Feeding kids are important to me. But the homeless problem that you have, what happens to the people that can't afford to pay their tax bill? Mm-hmm. What happens to people that can't afford to pay their insurance bill? Well, they'll sell their house. What happens if they're underwater? Well, they'll move somewhere else. Where? It's really expensive.
Can't afford to move anywhere.
It's expensive here to live in Florida, especially South Florida now.
It's getting like California.
Yeah.
Property
insurance is outrageous here.
I have a nest egg in my house, so I sell it. Now, what do I buy and where? So these are challenging questions, very challenging questions. There's not an easy answer. If I could say, Wayne, let's do X, Y, Z, and it worked, you'd never buy me an island in the Fijis because I solved homelessness. But to your point, I want to have these conversations. These are the type of conversations that I really like to have because I'm an engineer. I really want to bring in the Urban Land Institute folks who the Dixie Highway thing. The only thing that's over there, Wayne, is Sylvia Portier's old. That's it.
That was one of the questions too. Leading up again, I'm glad you jumped on Dixie Highway because that was one of my questions. I was going to ask you, what vision do you have for Dixie Highway, the Dixie Highway corridor?
Yeah, Central Corridor, right? Walkable. So there's some problems there, right? Wait a second. Have you guys seen that barbecue shack that's over at Sylvia Portier's thing?
It's Papa D's.
Yeah.
Is that any good?
He's my classmate. He's a good man.
Deerfield High School.
I've been wanting to stop there. Is that good barbecue?
Oh, the food is good.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
That's my classmate, Darwin Brooks, class 84. His food is excellent. My
partner's a vegan, so she's going to be eating some barbecue. So listen, I'll say, Cousin Wayne told me I could bring this home. This is vegan. So there's a couple problems there, right? Housing values west of Dixie. It's forcing some of the developers don't want to throw their money in there because of depressed housing values. So how do you address that? And this is a little out of my league. So I read the Urban Land Institute stuff. They came to town, and I know somebody on the Urban Land Institute, and they came to town 3 times. And they gave us, and if you guys want it, I'll zip this to you. It's really nice. It's beautiful. 3 handouts for the Dixie corridor, for the TOD, and for transit-oriented development. I hope there's a question about there, Wayne, because that's important too. Density is very important, and then the park area, right? And they basically came here and they left. And I asked, I'm not dropping names, but I'm hoping he's watching this. How you doing, buddy? I said, what's the problem? They said, Deerfield doesn't have a vision. We told them, when you figure out what you want to do, call us back and we'll help you get there. Our zoning, right? So there's some setback, there's some flood issues, everything else. Our zoning is antiquated. Our infrastructure is antiquated. There's no a piecemeal vision. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. They left a good game plan, but they didn't execute it. So I'm not quite sure what we're going to get with Mr. Drosky again. It's going to be another 4 years of solving problems singularly, but not that. I think it'd be really cool to drive traffic over that way. I think it would be. I think it'd be, you guys have walkable neighborhoods. How cool is that, right? Bikeable, walkable, safe, bikeable, walkable neighborhoods. I bike all the time, guys. If you're around town, you're going to see me. I bike all the time. You guys deserve safe places that you can do it yourself. If you bike up Dixie Highway, you take your, I'm an atheist, but God willing, you're taking your life in your hand. So I'm all for that. So the TOD, do you want to talk about that? You got another question?
Yes, definitely. I'd like for you to delve into the TOD because that was a lot that was talked about at the Urban Land meeting and Daryl was at. Yeah.
Density is important, as you well know. Density is important. So density, folks, is how many people can you stuff in an apartment complex? And because of density, it gets really wonky. This is the live local stuff I think we were talking about earlier, right? It's really complicated. And you either have to have folks on staff who understand how to do this, and it's rocket science, or you get somebody like Walter Duke. He's a commercial appraiser. He's the best guy. His firm is the best guy in Deerfield Beach to do this stuff. Disclosure, he's a client of mine. The idea with the TOD is you put a lot of people in a small space comfortably, of course, and now you can drive transit there, whether it's public transportation, whether it's a train, whatever. And then you can put mixed use. You can put a gym there. You can put a Starbucks there. You can put some restaurants or something like that, right? The best TODs, this was a couple years ago. The best 2 TODs in Florida was Boca at Yamato Road and Church Street Station in Orlando. Those were the best functioning TODs. We got what do we got at our TOD? We got a Krispy Kreme. Right.
That's out by Home Depot, correct?
Yeah. Do you know?
Yeah.
So Wayne, let me tell you this. Do you remember the old Whirlpool facility?
Yes. That's where the courthouse is actually at right now.
Yeah, tell me the story behind that.
Building. Yeah.
Tell me the story behind that. Do you know?
I don't remember the story either, but I remember it used to be the old Whirlpool.
I remember Jean Robb got the she lobbied, I believe, the county to put the courthouse, the late mayor, I believe, if I remember right, if my memory serves me right, but I don't know actually the history of the building. I just remember growing up as a kid, just remembering the Whirlpool building was there where the courthouse, the satellite courthouse is at right now in Hillsborough.
Yeah. Okay, you're there. So there's a little. I'm going to sharpen your answer, but you're 90% of the way there. Do you remember also unincorporated land west, going out towards the Walmart and go towards Parkland? Do you remember that? There was a chunk of land that.
Yeah.
And I also remember the mayor was trying to get the city back in the days to annex that area.
No. She didn't want it.
Oh, she didn't want it. I don't know why I remember. I thought she was okay. I don't know why. I just remember. I thought she was. I remember hearing her say one time she wanted to get that area.
Selective reasoning. She hired a helicopter to take pictures of the old Whirlpool building. A former love of mine worked there. So, what's the problem with the courthouse being there? And Gene Robb's thing was, oh, if you got a parking ticket, it's really cool. We can go there and make the parking ticket easy, right, to pay. What's the problem with that, fellas? How much tax do we get from that?
From the North County Courthouse?
The satellite courthouse?
If you say zero,
question.
If you say zero, you're right. Now imagine if you turn that into, have you guys been to the palace, the promenade? I think it's called the promenade down in Coconut Creek. Have you guys been
Creek,
there?
Yeah. Lions.
That's
and Green.
Cool as hell. They can't keep the restaurants flip over all the time for some reason.
We like to get our area looking like that. The Central City here, quarter here, something looks something like that out over here.
That is nice.
Or the old Whirlpool. So now you build something there. We can't build something there. Imagine the tax roll. Imagine if we did LIHTC. So here's how LIHTC works. You're guaranteeing, you're going to say, you got to pencil this in. I'm going to build like that place that we talked about, Axios on Federal Highway, just north of Hillsborough. Mm-hmm. Todd Drosky said, I voted against the 7 stories, but I voted for the 5. Okay. Do you understand the significance of that? I bet you don't. But do you understand the significance of that?
I know he said I think he was looking at it that if he voted for it, if he didn't, the developers would have came back with use the live local, and it could have went up at least, I believe, 7 stories.
Correct.
I believe that was.
But he voted for it. He voted for it, and I believe the mayor did it.
Right.
Okay. But he voted for the 5, not the 7.
Right. Okay. And I think that was his logic, though, to go with the 5. So if they use the live local, it would, at least wouldn't be 2 more stories higher. Okay, excellent. So you got the basic premise of the story. Now let's dig below the worlds. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to us? Not you, me, and us. Us 3 fellas. What does that mean to tenants?
That means
20 years down the road. 20 years down the road. What does that mean to a tenant? I'll be dead. Yeah. What does that mean to a tenant moving there 20 years from now?
Their rent is going to be sky high.
Exactly. I don't know if they're going to be able to afford it 20 years from now.
It's going to be about almost $3,000 just to move in now. $2,500 a month.
Right. Oh, $2,900, I believe.
Yeah. My puppy just escaped. Can I go put my puppy back?
Oh, yeah.
And I'll be right back. Sorry. You guys want a free puppy? You can have a free puppy plus some wings and some beer. I'll be right back.
If you're just joining us, we're joined here by candidate for mayor, Timothy Chaz Stevens. He's running for mayor here in Deerfield Beach. Thank you for joining us here. We got a few more questions before we let him go. And, we want to thank you.
And when you
us.
explain that, we got one question in the chat.
One question in the chat we like to ask. We got a couple more questions.
We're gonna let you finish what you were saying about the
LIHTC. Okay. So these deals have to make sense to a developer. right? They got to the deal has to make sense to the pencil. That's what they call it, right? So they're in there to make money. They're taking a big risk. They're spending a lot of money, and they got to be the big. So it's about smart development. Development isn't bad if it's done smartly. So 5-story housing unit doesn't get coverage for LIHTC, which means that there is no guarantee from the state of Florida for tax credits, low income housing tax credits, LIHTC, called LIHTC, live local. It's really complicated stuff, but it basically says, you, Mr. Developer, if you build enough units, again, density, if you build enough units, you're going to get a stipend, and you guarantee rent over 20 or 30 years, and the rent's pegged to AMI, average median income. So they figure out what most people are making, and they base it 70%, 80%, 120%. It's all it's calculated. It's literally rocket science. If you stick with that, we're going to give you a tax incentive to hold rent stability. So 7 stories gave us higher density, rent stability over 20 or 30 years. 5 stories doesn't give us rent stability. And like Wayne just said, or Daryl just said, now we have $3,000. What's it going to be in 5 years, guys? So
unaffordable.
I would say about
unaffordable.
I would say in 4 years, about $5,000.
So
the way to rent it.
Listen, height's an issue, right? Height's an issue. And we talked about offline, how they had the Duffys, and then it was the Roadhouse. Remember that? Step on the
used to be Patricia Murphy's, I believe, back in the olden days.
Was that what it was? I couldn't remember for the life of me.
The Dragon. It was called the Dragon Club. It was
Dragon.
Called,
that's it. That's. I want to give you a hug, bro.
The Dragon Club. It was called Patricia Murphy's at first, because I know that my brothers used to work there in the 70s, and then it was like the Dragon Club.
Yeah, the Dragon Club.
And then it went to something, a Roadhouse, I believe.
Roadhouse.
After a while, yeah.
Yeah, I drank many a beer at the Dragon Club, gawking at the alligator. So, or I guess it was a dragon. I thought it was an alligator. Get old, bro. So height's an issue. Height's an issue, and the neighbors have a right to worry, right, and a complaint. Well, but it's like this. It's like this thing with the Mount Trashmore. It's not going anywhere, whether it's 420 feet or 450 feet or 500 feet. It's not going anywhere, right? I think it's meaningless to get tied up in an argument that we're not even sitting at the table to worry about 30 feet or anything else. It's on Turnpike and Sample Road. We argue, we stamp our feet like children. Pompano, by the way, gets £1 for every ton that's dropped there. So Pompano has a seat at the table, and they're talking about mitigation and everything else, right? We're pissy. So back to the Dragon Club. The issue is, I, as mayor, have to look out at the interest of everyone. And while I empathize with neighbors in that development, the tail can't wag the dog. I have to look down the road 20 or 30 years. I have to set it up for Wayne's grandkids. I have to look down the road, and people come and people go. And if it's 7 stories and Susie, Bill, and Bobby are upset, Susie, Bill, and Bobby are going to move on, and whoever moves in is just going to see a 7-story building, and that's just the way it has been. So we have a problem with housing. We don't have many options. I had another candidate yell at me that we have other options. We have other housing options for density. Ma'am, we don't. We don't.
There's a demand for housing. There's a high demand for housing.
Yes, affordable housing, right?
Yes.
So, and I don't mean Section 8, and that's important too. But it's and here's the thing. So and it's a marketing thing. We don't use the word affordable housing because you think affordable housing, Section 8, riffraff. It's housing affordability. That takes the whole, people that need help that live here. So density matters. Fixed to AMI matters. But Todd Drosky, because he's weak-willed. And by the way, do you know what he does for a living?
He's an attorney, correct?
Correct. What does he do, Wayne?
I guess he do trial cases of trial or
He's
defense.
a foreclosure lawyer. He throws people out of their house. Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. And so this is the fellow we're putting in charge of housing affordability. He pays his bill by tossing people on the street. He's not representing people. He's representing organizations, landlords, that kind of stuff, housing properties. We're just on a different page when it comes to, I come from really humble beginnings. I didn't realize that I always got a block of cheese that was this big. And then I learned years later, that was the government cheese. I had no idea. I was like, oh, that's really good cheese. That's that processed cheese. You got the cheese slicer.
Ate a lot of that during my time. Over at Pioneer Park. They used to distribute it at Pioneer Park back in the days.
Yeah. I might listen, don't take the sheen on my face. He's got to be like 32, 33. I come from humble beginnings. I just have a different take on this stuff. And I think that the people who are more, going to bump fists with me, we have a lot more in common than you might recognize.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We have a question from the
chat, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Ocean Pearl Motel. What proof? He says, what proof do you have, Chaz, that Dan Hurst did not live in Deerfield Beach, especially since he has witnesses where he lives that sees him come home at 330 Southeast 19th Avenue every single night? So that's a question from the Ocean Pearl Motel.
Well, Dan, welcome aboard here to the chat line. You should have said second-time caller, long-time listener. The answer is simple. I sat in a meeting with the Sun Sentinel, and they hammered him. And they asked him a question, where does your wife live? And your wife owns a house in Plantation. Your wife has a homestead on that house in Plantation. Are you married to your wife? Yes. Do you live with your wife? Didn't answer a question. And then he talked about something about Todd Raskin going through a divorce. So a really crappy pivot. They talked about this in 2018, and his proof, and I was there. His proof was he was vetted. The city clerk, by the way, we have a really great city clerk. I'm sure you guys have dealt with her. We have a really great city clerk. I went over there and I spent an hour. Nice. Yeah. Yes, exactly right. So listen, I'm more about the Ada Graham Johnson. She had a stick up her ass and she would kick you if you did something wrong. That was my type of woman. So she was no nonsense. But rest
in peace, Ada.
Yes, sir. So listen, I've been doing this stuff for a while, Wayne. So you and I both. The answer is he was vetted. These are air quotes. He was vetted by the city clerk. I was vetted by the city clerk. Here's the vetting. Ready? Chaz, can we see your driver's license? I got my Costco card, but there it is. That's the vetting. There was no homestead questionnaire, prove your homestead kind of thing. None of that. There was just, show me your driver's license. I'm going to write down the number, blah, 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 blah. You would think after 6 years or 8 years, he's been doing this since 2018, he would come up with a better lie. He invested $50,000 of his money. Spend $5,000, Dan. Buy yourself a focus group or use the chat GPT, come up with a better lie. Do you live with your wife? Does your wife live in Plantation? Why? In the state, the law in the state of Florida is if you live with your wife and your wife has the homestead, that is your primary residence. He doesn't live here, but he's voting. So what does that say about his ethics? What does that say about his values? My buddy once told me, the first time you're caught stealing isn't the first time you stole. I took that to be the first time you got caught lying isn't the first time you lied.
I think that's where when I was watching the interview online, I think that was the last thing that I saw where the guy asking the questions from the Sun Sentinel, he asked him that question about living in plantation or being homesteaded in plantation.
Yeah.
So,
Steve Bouquet.
Yeah.
And he has a tell. He touches his chin. So it's we have a guy that's been here for 16 years, for 8 years. Excuse me, 8 years. He's marched pretty much. They go out drinking together. They're out palling around together. Him and Bill. And he wants another 4 years. He has no vision. So whatever we have now is what we're going to get some more. Or a guy that doesn't live here who just throws shite against the wall and see what sticks. 10% off this, we got this. The guy is like a snow globe of ideas. And they're not really good ideas. He's got his palm card that's like 600 feet long. So here's my palm card, guys. Here's my visions. No to higher taxes, 3 cuts, 3 years, 4%. No to higher landfill, collaborate, negotiate, reduce landfill reliance. Here's the disclaimer. They're going to raise the landfill no matter how much we kick and scream. 2, no to 10th Street connector. I don't like that idea. Going to kick and scream, but they're going to build it anyway. So my concerns are noise, traffic, flooding, and safety. And then 333. So I want to put some money back in your pockets. I need help. I can pay my taxes. There are other people that need a lot more help than me. And I don't hear anybody talking about that. So vote for Chaz Stevens, and we can have a great. I will have my come out party at what's your buddy's name again? The barbecue place?
Darwin Brooks. So Papa D's.
Everybody goes to Papa. I was advertising.
D.
I'm sorry.
Papa D is in dog. Yeah,
Yeah,
Papa
you
D's.
can advertise. I mean,
Papa D's. Listen. Tell him I need my 12% for his. And everybody give him a good Yelp review.
that's my classmate. So yeah, give him all the advertisement he needs.
Papa D's, guys.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you,
everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chaz. With Timothy Chaz Stevens, he's running for mayor here in the beautiful city of Deerfield Beach, and if you're just joining us, you're going to have to go back and catch it on the playback. Mr. Stevens has said a lot of interesting things, and he shared his vision of Deerfield Beach. So,
and only 3 swears. 3 swears. That's a record for me.
You did good.
They were okay.
Yeah, you did good.
I tried.
Didn't have a problem with it.
The foot. You didn't see it. I have autism.
Good luck to you, sir. The election is March 11th. Timothy Chaz Stevens is asking for your vote. So
you can vote by mail if you can. I'm gonna vote by mail, but please, everyone, get out and vote. This is a important election here in the city of Deerfield Beach. We have 2 positions: District 3, District 4, and the race for mayor. Mr. Stevens, we got one more thing. Would you join next Thursday, the February 20th, at the Greater Bethel AME Church? Would you? We invite you to participate in the candidate forum.
We're gonna be hosting. We're gonna host it, but we're not gonna be the moderator. But we're gonna have it next Thursday, February the 20th, at Greater Bethel AME, and you are cordially invited.
And would you attend?
You ready for this? Are you sitting down? Boys?
We know you say you're an atheist, but
no, wait. I got that. Hang on a second. You ready for this? I am, since 2016, I had hair back then. I am an ordained minister. I am an actual ordained minister. I'm in the process of, we can talk about this later, suing Broward County for viewpoint discrimination. They are dinking on religious rights. So I'm going to show up. And I'll bring some donuts.
Okay,
so we'll see you next Thursday of next week, February 20th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Greater Bethel AME Church, 370 North Deerfield Avenue.
Deerfield Beach. So we have all 3 candidates, Todd Drosky, Vice Mayor Todd Drosky, Dan Hers, and Timothy Chaz Stevens. He just committed. So next Thursday, February 20th at Greater Bethel AME 370 North Deerfield Beach Avenue, Deerfield Beach. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
I have one last question. I don't have a JCPenney suit like those other 2 fellas. Is that okay?
You come as you are. That's
No,
what
you
they
can wear
say.
whatever you want.
Casual Friday. Thanks, Wayne.
All right,
Wayne
there you
said this
go.
was okay.
It's gonna be Thursday, actually.
Thursday, yeah.
Thursday.
It's gonna be next Thursday
Yeah,
night,
man, next
6
Thursday.
to 8 p.m.
I'll bring my codpiece. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we'll,
Yes.
we'll send it to you in an email.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. Hey, this is really fun.
Stephen,
I'll tell
good
you, I'll
luck
go
to
through
you,
yourself.
sir, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
See ya.